Hello everybody and welcome back to Collector's Corner. Today I'm going to be showing off something I just got here. It's a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, and it's not really so much about the fact that it's a Raspberry Pi, it's about what's installed on this Raspberry Pi, and that is RetroPie and EmulationStation. Now I always wondered how these things would fare up against, like a computer, like a full-size computer, as far as doing emulators. And I have to say, it's pretty impressive. This is the whole thing right here. It's the size like of a deck of cards, really. When you get it, it comes with just the board. You can get it as just the board. You can get it with a case. Depends on what kind of kit you get. The ports are already attached to it, obviously. The only thing that you got to do, you got to put on the heat sinks for the processor and the GPU. And then if you have a case, you just got to snap it into place. Now, the whole thing runs off of an SD or micro SD card, which is right there. I got a 16 gigabyte one for this one. It's powered by a little tiny USB port here with a 2.5 amp, I believe, power supply. So it takes a decent amount of power, and it outputs HDMI. It also outputs regular 3.5 millimeter audio if you don't want to use the standard HDMI. It does have expansions. You can put a touchscreen on this. I've seen kits, touchscreen wasn't that expensive. I'm pretty sure it just snaps right into here, and then you could have a touchscreen Raspberry Pi. It has some more ports here, however, they're not even labeled, so I'm not 100% sure which these two do. I don't believe it's more SD card slots, because I do believe this is the only one. But they definitely take in something. It might just be connectors for the camera or whatever you put on top of this. Now for the controllers, you can use whatever you have that's USB. So for example, I had this USB 360 controller when I first started using it. It worked fine. I also had this one here, which is more like a PlayStation controller, with the sticks here, same setup, and that worked fine too. Honestly, I think this worked better. This is Logitech. The other one was Mad Catz with a GameStop insignia put on it. Besides that, you can plug in a keyboard. You can operate this thing with a keyboard and mouse. When you have the opportunity, you can pretty much edit whatever you want on this thing. You put in your own operating system. There's people that even said they put Android TV on this, and it pretty much works as an Android device would. So let's show you some games and see how it stacks up. Okay, upon booting this thing up, it boots you straight into the emulation station and takes you here to your home screen. And it basically shows you the emulators that you have games installed on this thing for. Now there's a lot more emulators than what I've been installing games for. However, I just loaded it up quickly with a few of the ones that I knew off the top of my head. So I had Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, NES, and PlayStation. PlayStation is about the limit this thing can do, and I'll show you why in just a moment. The RetroPie section is basically your settings screen, and if you go in here, you can adjust the audio, you can adjust for Bluetooth, you can adjust many different things, including the files you have. Now, if you push left and right from this screen, it will take you through the menus of the games that you have, so you can either do it, this way and select which one you want, or you have to go one by one. Now, yes, it does play Atari games, even paddle ones. So let's, for example, let's play Super Breakout real fast. It's a little touchy. It's definitely not like using a paddle. I have this set up where I can use the analog stick or the D-pad, and I don't know which one's honestly better. They're both a little touchy. Right now I'm using the analog stick, and then I can switch to the D-pad. The D-pad's a little more choppy, I guess you could say. Alright, now when you want to quit the games, you just push start and select together. Takes you back to the home screen here. And let's pick something a little more challenging. Let's say a Super Nintendo game. Let's see, something like Mario World. I think it cleans up these pictures pretty well. You know, it is outputting in HDMI. Okay, here's proof that save games do work. That is something I played about a day or two ago. Just so we can get into a world real fast here. Now the controls are set up just like you normally would have felt on the Super Nintendo. And just because it looks nice doesn't mean I'm any better at the game. Alright, let's show you where this thing draws its limits. Let's go to the PlayStation section. Now, most of these games I've never had a problem with. Even Gran Turismo, which is, you know, racing games can be a little strenuous sometimes. But Tekken 2, that is about where it draws its line. And I will show you why. And it's not even in the videos here, like the full motion videos. As you can see, this play is fine. Honestly, it's just a video file. I don't see why it shouldn't. Alright, so let's go into arcade mode. Doesn't matter who we pick, we'll do Law. It's one of my favorites here. Okay. Now, watch as it zooms in on the characters. Little slow down. And it'll happen periodically. It also depends on what stage you're on. See, as I was trying to uppercut him, I slowed down a little. Certain things, it seems to be fine. The replays, it's fine. If you try to do any grappling moves, it seems to slow down a bit. See? It just stutters a little. And I mean, what can you expect? This thing is so tiny. I don't know how this thing isn't catching fire, honestly. Alright, let's get to another round here. See if it's any different here. Yeah, you can see a little more slowdown on this level. I don't know if it's the characters specifically. I don't know if it's maybe King has more polygons than Jack did, or if it's this level because of the lighting effects. But something drags it down a little here. The one thing I don't like about the PlayStation 1 is on some of the games, if I push select, it reset the app. And it actually booted up fresh from the Sony loading screen. And it did that for me. Oops. You gotta be careful with that. Specifically in Gran Turismo. And now it's probably not going to do it for me now that I'm trying to show you. Yeah. Well, I can show you that a race works. I don't know, it was very strange. Maybe it was just a coincidence that it reset itself and it's not now. It did happen while I was in a race. Maybe you have to do a certain combination of start and then select. Oh, little stutter. For the most part, this is pretty fluid. No, still not restart. I don't know how I restarted it once, but I did. Purely by accident. You can change views. You know, the inside view, use the analog sticks for this. Outside view. And it runs pretty smooth. And it looks as good as I think a PS1 game's gonna look. You know, the resolution on it is pretty nice. You know, it's not blurry. It looks like a PS1 game. You know, it is dated. I hope if I was paying attention, maybe I'd stay on the road. But you get the idea. I can't get this thing to reset. It did before. Oh, I see. If you hold down combinations of buttons, things happen. Save state to slot 0. Loaded state from slot 0. Must have been a combination of buttons I pushed. There it is. So if you push what would be this button here, so AB would be the B button, and select, it restarts, and I mean it restarts full PlayStation. No, it seems like the sound effects didn't translate very well there. Alright, let's get out of here. So you get the idea. I'll end this off playing some some Super Mario Brothers. Oh, I guess real quick I can show you. If you want to turn the system off, because it's turned on by just plugging it in, you have to push shut down here. Don't quit it because you'll end up in the console or the command prompt. You want to shut down the system and then unplug it once the green light stops blinking, from what it told me online. So let's end it with this. Is this worth it for an emulator that can pretty much play whatever the heck you want it to play? You know, these things, you can get the boards, the three at least, starting at like $35. I think it's definitely worth it. And I plan on making one very specifically as a main machine where I will attach it to the back of a monitor and play it that way. One of these days. This one is actually a gift that I'm given, so yeah. So there isn't really any button lag. It's more that I'm not paying attention, I guess you could say. But the game's all here. The only one that I've ever noticed have any glitches is Hook. But then yet emulation is not perfect. You can only expect so much. This is a great game, by the way. I actually, one night, just sat down, played it all the way through. Not over here. I have the official. Oh, there you go. You could see the the text became a bunch of green cues, but the game works fine in itself, and it looks amazing. Honestly, I feel like these 16-bit and pretty much everything besides the PlayStation looks incredible on here. The PlayStation just looks like a cleaned up, you know, PlayStation. Alright, well, you get the idea. Let's turn this thing off so you can see one more time how exactly it's done. Shutdown system. Do you really want to shut down? Yes, you do. It goes dark, and that's it. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you consider getting one of these. And I'll see you next time.